Hi everybody, and welcome back to the channel again today. So we're basically going to speak a bit about Donald Trump and the war in Ukraine between Russia and Ukraine, because part of Donald Trump's success in becoming the president-elect, when obviously he takes office in January, was that he claimed that he could resolve the conflict in 24 hours. Okay. Now, the problem with that is it really realistic? Because, you know, if you take, for instance, the last few years, they've got absolutely nowhere in resolving the conflict because, you know, Putin's problem is NATO comes so far to the east, which obviously many years ago they promised after the bringing down of the Berlin Wall, they would not move any further east than from, at the time it would have been East Germany, which is obviously Germany now. And they have, you know, they've taken over, they've gone into some of the Balkan states and everything. You know, they've gone into parts of Scandinavia. So, and obviously Zelensky's problem is he's got Russia that have invaded and he wants to join NATO. So the problem is they can't both have what they want. So how do you resolve the issue that there is in Russia, in Ukraine, between Ukraine and Russia? Now, everybody's going to have their own theory. Now, obviously, I know it was reported yesterday. You know, I don't know how much truth it is actually in the actual report, saying that Zelensky is willing to give up some of Ukrainian land in return for being allowed to be entered in NATO. Now, obviously, Putin's never going to accept that. You know, a NATO country bordering right on his country, there's no chance that's going to, he's even going to consider that. So, what is Donald Trump's reported plan? Now, obviously, this is just reported. You know, there's no actual concrete facts in this. Okay, so this is what's been reported. So, basically, what he wants to do is to create a buffer zone between the two countries of 800 miles. Now, if you want to think of how far 800 miles is, I actually had a look last night on a map. You know, looking at where Kiev is and Moscow is. If you went by road, okay, the safest route, which means you're actually having to travel west out of Ukraine, going up to the next country up, which I do not know. Can't remember what, is it Lithuania or somewhere like that? Might be actually be Belarus, and then going across the border to cross into Russia to go to Moscow. That's just 1,000 miles. That's 1,000 miles. So if you went a direct route, it's probably around about 800 miles. I'm not saying it is, but you're probably looking around that kind of figure. It might even be a little bit less. But I would suggest it's going to be some kind of figure. So how are they going to do that? It's going to be losing most of a lot of land, because if you're going to have a buffer zone, how are you going to regulate it? Are you going to go down the route of like what happened with Germany? Are you going to make it like a no-fly zone or no travel zone? Neither country can go into that area. You know, it's completely off limits. See potential problems there. Okay. Well, another crucial element to the alleged proposal is that an agreement that Ukraine, and this is going to be a massive sticking point, would not be able to join NATO for 20 years. 20 years they would not be able to join, which for Putin would be a big plus. Okay, because obviously Putin at the moment, I don't actually know how old he is at the moment, but I can double check. Okay, so he's born in what, 1952. Okay, so he is knocking on a bit. So he's what, 72. So he's a few years older than my mother. Okay, so if you take, for instance, 20 years, he's probably going to be dead. He might be still alive in 20 years' time, but I very much doubt it. So by the time that they're going to be able to come into NATO, you're actually realistically looking at he's going to be dead. So there's a plus point for Putin. So I suggest from that, he might actually consider it. Okay, and obviously he's going to be able to save a lot of face by knowing that Ukraine aren't going to be able to come in. So by his rule, it's win-win for Putin, but is Zelensky in Ukraine actually gaining everything? Yeah, they're going to get peace. They're not going to have to worry about Russia, you know. But the other side of the coin, to protect Ukraine, it's been alleged, and this is only allegedly, that America are willing to stockpile Ukraine with weapons so they can protect them. So if, for instance, Russia decides to create the USSR again and want to try and invade, they're not going to have to worry about the rest of Europe or America having to provide them with arms. They're going to have the arms. They'll be able to protect themselves. They'll be able to fight for themselves. Not to say that they haven't at the moment, but one of the big problems is that they've been having to come to the likes of Germany, France, the UK, United States of America for arms, which causes us a problem if we want to try and stay a bit friendly with Russia. So what I'm going to say today is go and buy that. What do you actually think of that as a plan to end the war? Because I could see Putin agreeing to it. I can't see a Zelensky agreeing to it, but he could have his hands forced, because the argument is that if Zelensky doesn't come to the table, that Trump is saying he's going to take away aid, which could force his hands anyway. So as I said, let me know down below in the comments what you actually think. Okay, obviously if you are new to the channel, if you could please also subscribe, I would appreciate it as well. But for now, thanks for listening, and we'll speak to you again a bit later.